All right, good day. Welcome. I'm going to show you guys how I got this trade on Jump 100 and how I always get my buyers whenever I'm trading synthetics. So, um, what I always do is I always want to start on a higher time frame, let's say weekly time frame to look for my buyers. So, let's take everything off this screen. So, what I always want to do is I want to look for engulfing candles. I want to look for engulfing candles, and not just any type of engulfing candles. First of all, I want to know where the market is currently trending to. And looking at this portion right here, we can notice price is actually bearish because we have a series of bearish candles more than bullish candles. So we expect price to move much more bearish. So whenever I have an engulfing candle, here's an engulfing candle. We have price engulf this candle. And we have these two down candles to the downside. These two bearish candles to the downside. So we understand price has engulfed this candle right here. So what do? I want to mark out the candle which was engulfed. So this is the engulfed candle. Pull it over. So what am I looking out for? All the mechanism I require is inside this zone right here. It's inside this engulfed candle. So that's where I'm going to find everything I need. So what do? I go lower. So lower, I want to spot my break of structure. And spot my break of structure. And the engulfing always help you, always just provide a break of structure for you. Here's my break of structure to the downside. And here is my sweep of liquidity. Here's my sweep right here. Then if I take this off, you see I have a range. I have a range I have to focus on. So how do I spot this range, or how do I determine my range? I use my Gann tool or my Fibonacci retracement tool. So let's say if you want to use Fibonacci, okay, this Fibonacci needs to set. So let's use the Gann tool, the Gann box. So I place it at this top and I bring it down to this low right here. So this middle point, this 0.5 is my 50% point, which I expect price to always come back to this 50%. And right here, if we have noticed in this range, we have no liquidity. We don't have any liquidity here. So what am I expecting? But I'm still expecting price to come back inside this premium zone before I have a sell, because I can't sell when price is still in this discount. I want price to come to the premium zone, that's the expensive zone, before I can sell. So since we have no liquidity involved, we are going to use confirmation. So what do I do? Once I've gotten this range, I want to look for a POI or a key level inside this point. So what do? I go higher a little, and I'm going to spot this. I spotted this. If I turn on line chart, I spotted this V-shaped key level which failed. This V-shaped key level failed, so automatically it's going to turn into an A-shaped key level. So some people call this a breaker block. So it's kind of a breaker block. So what do? Turn this back to candlestick chart. So what am I expecting? Price came, tap into the zone, which I expect reversal. So since I have no liquidity here, I'm not really sure if price will actually react, if price will actually fall. So what am I going to do? I always want to go in with my confirmations. So how do I confirm? I go 1 or 2 time frame lower and I look for my confirmations. So what are the confirmations I always want to look for? I want to look for where price touched the key level. Here was where price tapped into the key level. So I want to look for um the zone, which support or resistance zone price created before tapping that zone. So we have this point, price actually created this zone, this point here before touching this zone. You can see, so I want this point to be broken. Once price have broken structure here, then I expect price to give me reversals and fall down. So now on 1 hour time frame, we have a new range we are focusing on. We can use the Gann tool to confirm that range, which is this to this point. So what I was expecting, price to come back to this zone, then we can have move to the downside. So if you're vigilant, you are going to spot that we have liquidity also. Yeah, this is our liquidity point right here. So we expect price to come slightly above this liquidity, and we have this move to the downside. And how do we confirm that? We go higher. We go higher. So higher, whenever there's this theory here, whenever I have let's say this is a supply zone, there is a supply zone right here, or this other block. before this break of structure here. So whenever I have this last order block right here and it's closer to my liquidity, I always take 50% of this. I always take 50% of this. But if it's not too close, like look at, you can see here, it's already, if I can mark out this, let me show you. If I take the whole of this order block right here, you're going to see that we have our liquidity inside the order block. So it's not that valid. So what do? I want to take 50% of this. So using this can box, we're going to spot the 50% of this. 50%. That's where my entry is at 50% of that zone. So I'm going to pick out my short position right here. And I'll place my stop loss above this high. So let's say stop loss will be above this high, and that's my entry. We have liquidity. If I take this off, you're going to see liquidity entry at 50% of that supply zone. So what I was expecting, we're expecting price to ride all through to this point right here. So that should be giving us a 1:16 risk to reward. So now once we've gotten this, we know price might start falling down, but since it's on a weekly time frame, we are not actually expected to wait for the full week to be over before we start looking for other setup. So we can look for continuation trades since we've gotten our bias already and our main direction already. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back daily. We go now to the daily time frame to look for continuation setups. And again, here I have my engulfing candle. So what do? I frame this engulfing candle up. And what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to look for my price mechanism inside this box. So what do? I go lower. Lower, I'm going to spot this. So let me take this a bit this way. So lower, I'm going to spot this break of structure, which our engulfing helps us. So here's my break of structure right here. You can see my break of structure right here. And if I take this box off, you're going to see where we have a break of structure and we have liquidity. Break of structure, price first pullback, we have this liquidity. And what we do, we want to look for our range. So here's our range high and here's our range low right here. So we want price to be above this liquidity, price to come above this liquidity, and inside this our premium zone before we have, if we can have any sell movement to the downside. So what do we have? We have liquidity here and we have this point right here. We have this point. Let's see if we go higher. We have a clear POI, a clear POI, clear POI, no clear POI if we go higher. So here we stick to 1 hour time frame. You can see on 1 hour time frame we have liquidity here. If we take this off, let's see, we have liquidity, we took this off, and we have, this is our order block here, or this is our supply zone, which is closer. This is too close. You can see if we, let me show you, if we cover this off, this order block, or this demand, this supply zone right here, it's too close to this liquidity, which is valid. But sometimes when it's too close like this, or when it's touching, I always use 50% of that. So 50% of this should be 50% of this should be here. So that is where my entry is. So you see, it's very, very simple, very, very basic. So I'm going to put my stop loss above here. Stop loss above here. And where am I targeting? I'm still targeting our main low. You see, I'm targeting this main low right here below this point. This is where I'm targeting this main low right here. So that should give me 1:36 weeks to reward. 1:36 weeks to reward. So I can place this here. So I have the second running trade in one trade. I have two in one trade already. So now what do I do again? I still go higher. And now here, what I always teach my students how to find buyers using the engulfing, and when we have these two candles going to the same direction, and we use the wick. So we use wicks for buyers and we use candlesticks for buyers. So what do I do here? Normally these two candles are going the same direction, two bearish candles. So we were supposed to use this wick, but it looks like price didn't return again to this point. So what do? We had price close below this other one, so we had to use this wick. This was our new wick we're supposed to use. So if we go lower, So what you need to know, you need to understand these time frames, the time frames to actually switch to and to understand how to manipulate those time frames. So here we have this is our point here. We have this break of structure. We have this break of structure right here, and we have our swing. We have this is our swing high. Here's our swing low right here. So if we take off this box, what we're expecting, this is our swing point right here, which we're actually expecting. So now we have equal highs. Equal highs signifies liquidity. Whenever you have equal highs, signifies liquidity. Here's our equal highs, liquidity. So what are we expecting? We're expecting price to come back to this point. Yeah. So if we take this off, what do we do to find our POI? I always tell you guys, we go higher. And higher, we have this key level, which is closer to liquidity. Not too close like the others. They're close enough to be valid. So you see what price does, comes sweeps liquidity, tap into your POI, and we have this fall to the downside. So what are we expecting? We're expecting we can go back to 1 hour time frame. We're going to see it matches this zone right here, this open close level. So that is where we have our entry, our third entry. So we have 3 in 1. This is our next entry right here. Stop loss, you can place it above this high. You can place it above this high right here. And where are we targeting? We are targeting our main low. Here's our main low, and that should give us 1:12 risk to reward. So that's simply how I always get these my entries. That's how I simply get these my entries. So like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications on. I'll drop more of this.